The question of when and how to be divisive and when not to be divisive is of the greatest importance. With President Trump, we see an increase in tensions between men and women, feminists and anti-feminists, Muslims and non-Muslims, leftists and right-wingers. It's everybody against everybody when it should be everyone who is at least halfway sane against the psychopaths, the narcissists, and their most hardcore cult followers. Just imagine if it had not been a presidential race between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Imagine if both parties had nominated boring male bureaucrats instead, who all have the same kind of law degree from an Ivy League university, who have never had an honest job in their lives, and who are both in the political center. One candidate in the center right, the other candidate being center left. People would have seen through this charade from the first moment. It doesn't matter who wins, people would know it's all a scam. The parties are just two sides of the same scam run by the club of billionaires. But instead we got a woman who is regarded as a symbol of female empowerment and feminism in general. And we got a man who is basically just a 16-year-old stuck in time who says he grabs women by the pussy and gets away with it. Oh boy, the divisiveness this creates in the population is enormous. People should know better though. Hillary plays the socialism card. She wants to just hand out a bunch of taxpayer money. And Trump also says what certain people want to hear about new jobs, deregulation, and lowering taxes. And he is supposedly a fantastic businessman. So it's a communist, climate change obsessed woman against a capitalist man, or a sort of capitalist man, who makes fun of the greenies. More grandiose divisiveness. Then Trump says he wants to stop Muslim immigration and fight radical Muslims all over the world. He's going to out George Bush. Hillary says she's going to contain ISIS, but otherwise she's totally going for diversity. Trump fills his cabinet with total hardliners. More divisiveness. Everyone is going to fight everyone. Everyone is retreating into their own information filter bubbles, their feel-good safe zones. Nobody wants to be triggered. Nobody wants to be challenged. Nobody trusts their opponents to be honest and fair, so why should anybody play fair and honest? And this madness has to stop, and it is not that hard to do. I'm going to show you how. You see, every group offers you a complete package. A complete package that is 30% truth, 30% lies, and 40% distraction. You are being asked to swallow, to buy the complete package. You are being seduced by the 30% truth that resonates with you, and you are likely to believe the 30% lies because these lies are tailored towards you, and you run around in circles in your head because of the 40% distractions. You're supposed to buy the whole album instead of just buying the one hit or the two hit songs. What you should do is not swallow complete packages and buy complete packages. You should pick all of the individual things that are true, and you should pick them out of many packages being offered, and you should just discard the rest. You should learn how to differentiate a halfway sane, trustworthy person from a psychopath, from a narcissist, from evil people with multiple personality disorders, mixed personality disorders. And you should learn to differentiate a halfway sane person from a cult follower who has been brainwashed into evil behavior. Judge the person first, not that person's ideology, that person's politics and religious beliefs. Never ever get totally lazy in your thoughts. Do not believe someone else must be good because that someone shares your ideological beliefs and that person seems on the surface so similar to yourself. You have to learn about modern scientific discoveries about evil in order to defeat evil. Discoveries in psychology, neurology, genetics, and so on. And when you understand evil, you cannot really fight evil. When you do not understand evil, you cannot really fight evil. You see, all these ideological groups out there, they teach you a garbage model of evil. They tell you that the opposition is evil, that the opposition is the root of all evil, and when you defeat that opposition, you defeat evil. So, for example, the most hardcore feminists think that evil comes from men in general. The most women-hating men out there who have serious mommy abandonment issues think that women are the cause of all problems. And left-wingers, serious left-wingers think that families and business owners and basic rights to own and to trade are the root cause of evil, and so on and so forth. So, you gotta destroy the family, you gotta destroy all these basic rights, and then you supposedly defeat evil. That's what the communists teach you. And let's take that man-woman thing, for example. Progressive feminism versus conservative manliness. Hillary versus Trump. The supposed feminist versus the alleged conservative alpha male. Hillary Clinton is a fake feminist, and her personality is very troubling. She covered for her husband's sexual adventures to advance her own career, to protect her own career. She brings zero feminine qualities to the job. She simply copied the typical male narcissism and male behavior. She has major temper tantrums behind the scenes. She's a screamer. She's a tyrant. And she works for the same club of billionaires who exploit women and men alike. If all women started to act like Hillary, if all women became narcissists, our society would be dead very quickly. Now, Donald Trump is a phony conservative alpha male. Sure, he's rich and he's super dominant and he has a bunch of kids and big family, but essentially he's just a 16-year-old narcissistic money and attention-grabbing greedy shark who was lucky to be born into a rich family and who was lucky he didn't go broke 5 times. If every man were to emulate Trump, if everybody started acting like the Donald, our society would break down and collapse. There's only so much narcissism a society can endure before everything turns into a horror movie. But guys out there, they now make all kinds of excuses for the Donald and for other very troubling guys, while the ladies make all kinds of excuses for Hillary and for almost every narcissistic or antisocial and emotionally unstable woman in the world. There are reasonably sane men and women in the world, and there are some real lunatics out there. And you have to learn how to spot the psychos early on. Narcissistic abuse by men has become a big discussion thing on the web, and if people discuss it professionally, you can learn some of the most important things in your life. Things that will save you years of misery, things that can protect your dreams and ambitions. This is some of the most important stuff you can ever learn in your life. Of course, some people will not discuss that topic professionally. They will simply call every man narcissistic or every man who they feel has been mean to them once. And there are some who act like there are no female narcissists and antisocials, and really there are no really mean, dangerous, emotionally unstable women. Mental disorders are a problem anywhere. And the dynamics this causes, that's a problem everywhere. You can find these disorders among men, women, transgender people, gays, straights, all skin colors, all ideological groups, and all belief systems. You find crazies everywhere, and they wreck everything. And they often weasel and bulldoze their way to the top positions of any group and even society as a whole. And if they can't control something, they want to destroy it. And they are very effective in destroying things and groups and projects. You cannot trust Hillary and you cannot trust Trump. There are way too many red flags. Of course, it's not professionally accepted to do a diagnosis from a distance, to come to a 100% diagnosis. And of course, most of us are not shrinks, right? I'm not a shrink, you're not a shrink. But you and I, we have to judge other people every single day. We have to choose the people we become friends with, the people we date, the people we marry, the people we vote for, the people we support in the media. We have to learn to tell people apart. And it's just like with driving a car. Most of us are not automotive engineers. I don't know how to design an engine. I don't know how to design a transmission, but I can safely operate a car. I can buy a car or a used car and look for red flags and look for warning signs. And if I drive a car and there's a warning sign, a warning lamp going on, or a strange noise, from the wheels or the engine or the exhaust system, if there are red flags and warning signs, I'm gonna try to fix this myself. And if this is too much for my capabilities, I bring that car to a professional. And that's kind of the way you should think of your psyche and the psyche of other people, right? You don't have to be a total expert. You don't have to be able to diagnose everything 100%, right? And you're not going to have other people in a clinical setting. You can't just diagnose them for months or even a year. And you don't have to. You see, if you have a solid foundation of knowledge in these things, you can look for the red flags. You can analyze a person properly. You don't just trust your gut feeling or your first impression, or you get swept away by your emotions, or you intellectualize because they tell you what you want to hear. You need a solid foundation of knowledge, and then you can look for the warning signs, and then you can say, oh no, I'm not going to take that risk. I'm not going to date this person. I'm not going to marry this person. I'm not going to vote for this person. I'm not going to buy this person's product. I'm not going to believe this person. I'm not going to buy this person's ideology. So you can't trust Hillary and Trump. There are way too many red flags, and of course professional psychologists have tried to diagnose them from a distance, or at least approximate a diagnosis, and experts say Trump is very dangerous, so is Hillary. So to go back to that man-woman thing, that feminism, anti-feminism thing, you can't just dismiss and mistreat women or men in general because you think it serves yourself and your gender group or your ideological group. It is absolutely important to have women's rights, to help and understand and empathize with abused women. And it's absolutely important to establish true manliness. Manliness that is totally different from narcissistic disorder or antisocial disorder. I'm sure you've heard the cliche discussion about some women who just seek out hyper-dominant assholes, and then wimpy loser men whining about how much they are nice guys who should be showered with female attention even though they are lazy. Women are naturally attracted to male strength in different forms, but women do not have natural inbuilt warning systems against men who are mentally ill and dangerous and deceptive and who just appear strong and who just appear like leaders. The ability to tell a psycho and a deceiver from a real strong man has to be learned. And there are good men out there who make great boyfriends and husbands, but they might not seem as impressive at first, especially not as impressive as a narcissist or antisocial. Of course, you have losers out there who are lazy, who feel entitled, and who just keep bitching and whining. And then you have the left versus right versus libertarian issue. Again, don't swallow complete packages and don't follow the wrong leaders. Hillary and Trump are not credible and trustworthy. Of course, a society needs a basic safety net for those in need, but you can't have half the adult population sitting on their asses watching Netflix and porn all day. Such a system goes broke really, really fast. And the club of billionaires pushes socialism for the masses so that nobody but the billionaires has resources and power. Of course, you need certain regulations. You need a basic level playing field and fair rules that apply to that everybody must follow. If you overregulate, only a few big players, meaning the club of billionaires, win. If you underregulate or you regulate the wrong way, or you don't make rules for everyone, only the big players win. And if you treat minorities like crap, meaning you subject them to narcissistic abuse, you will breed new narcissists, which creates incredible problems. At the same time, if you are the majority and you don't push back against narcissistic minority leaders and followers, you are giving very dangerous people a lot of opportunity. Even libertarians usually don't get it. Libertarians, they only see the threat of government, right? They see the threat of government, and some libertarians, they want to give everybody the right to play police and play justice, and everybody should just pick and choose whatever justice system they want to follow. Oh, you want to follow Islamic Sharia? You go do that on American soil or European soil. Oh, you want to follow communist rule? You do that. And a lot of libertarians don't get it. So, what libertarians believe are important pieces to the puzzle, but libertarians believe they know everything. They have to know in order to fix things and to fix evil. They believe the state, the government, is the root cause of all evil. But a state is just legal fiction. You are always dealing with people. If nobody knows where the border is and nobody protects the border and nobody knows or enforces the Constitution, you have no state. A basic legal framework and rigid borders are basic government and are absolutely necessary, absolutely important, especially in the modern age of large armies and modern expensive weaponry. You see a lot of libertarian fans of Ayn Rand, who was a crazy evil cult leader, and who wrote the psychopathic novel Atlas Shrugged about these emotionless industrialists and super engineers who move to a hidden valley and watch as the rest of society crashes and burns. Official Ayn Rand groups today worship families like the Rockefellers. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then you have the libertarian anarchists who have been brainwashed by the likes of Stefan Molyneux, who told them to abandon friends and family members if they are not willing to join the cult. Anarchists argue with a perfect fantasy model of the stateless society, just like communists would argue with their fantasy model society of perfect communism. Or just like radical Muslims would argue with their fantasy model of the perfect Islamic Sharia society. Anarchists will not necessarily accept any criticism of their ideas. They will often throw a tantrum, emulate the emotional outbreaks of Stefan Molyneux, call you all sorts of names, they will accuse you of violence and evil, and then they will storm off and never talk to you again. In a debate, they will use their own circular logic and tell you that every problem would be solved in their perfect fantasy model of society. But anarchists have absolutely no clue how to even make any significant steps towards their ideal society. All they do is share Molyneux podcasts and similar stuff, boycott politics, try to evade taxes, drive their family members insane, and dream of a community like an Atlas Shrugged. They never really take power and then wield power in the right way. That's why they are politically insignificant. So, ladies and gentlemen, pick those things that are valid and pick valid things from anywhere. Disregard the junk and disregard the insanity. Then we have the whole thing with Muslims versus non-Muslims. Oh, that's escalating right now. Obama probably is a Muslim himself, and he's been way too soft on domestic radicals. Hillary was giving us a lot of her boring, empty slogans about diversity, and now you have Trump and his hardliner cabinet who want to get really tough on the Muslims. The neocons under George Bush and previous administrations and the British Empire have always created problems in the Muslim world. Western corporations sold everything to the Soviets, but at the same time, the Soviet government and the US government funded tons of Muslim dictators and regime changes to outdo each other and to get control. And the result of this was a bunch of narcissistic and antisocial Muslim leaders came to power and brainwashed their people and created new evil people. The big antisocial and narcissistic colonial powers treated the Muslim world like crap. Sometimes they kissed up to certain Muslim dictators, so the Muslim world didn't have much chance to evolve into something more modern and healthy. Then you have to go after the evil. Today, you have to go after the evil Muslim leading figures, but you also have to destroy any Muslim group narcissism. If you just revert to treat